Good evening. Today is Thursday, June 18th, 2026. I'd like to call this meeting of the Auburn City Council to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Calarco is excused this evening. Councilor Diego.
Here.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
Here.
Councilor Cuddy.
Here.
And Mayor Genatino.
Here, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer or reflection. Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Clerk, public announcements.
Thanks, Mayor. We do have a couple of announcements this evening. The first is in regards to the summer rec program. We are in the pre-registration period for summer rec. Registration is open through June 29th. We're trying to register as many children as possible before this year's program due to some new requirements that we're under to have some certain information per each participant on file. So we're trying to spread the word. From now till June 29th, the registration forms are on the city's website. They can be picked up and dropped off here at Memorial City Hall, either in the rec office in the basement or at the city clerk's office if the rec office is not open. And then we'll be doing everything we can to spread the word, including there's some information going home with the kids in the elementary schools next week. So please help us spread the word. We do have quite a few children registered already, but want to try to get as many as possible. The program this year starts on Tuesday, June 30th, and next week at council, the staff will be on hand to give a presentation of what's coming up this summer. We put the notice out this week about the Lake Avenue Bridge closure. If you're on social media, you probably saw the news. If you're not on social media, consider yourself blessed. But the word is slowly but surely spreading around. In fact, it is true that the bridge does need to be closed for just over a year. The strategy behind this has been worked on for about 4 years now. There was a lot of strategy putting into making sure this was only going to impact one school year. So the next school year is the school year that'll be impacted, but that's why the closure is set at the end of one school year and then be closed for a school year and then reopen for the following school year. This is a $10 million project. Been the subject of a lot of meetings in this room over the years, but more to come as we get closer to June 29th, and you'll see the crews mobilize up there. We've put the word out also on June 29th, the first public workshop for the City of Auburn's Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan. This workshop will be held at the Auburn Public Theater on 8 Exchange Street, 6 to 8 p.m. Free and open to the public. Anybody with thoughts and ideas about the future of the City of Auburn. The comprehensive plan is kind of a land management plan and affects a lot of the work that we do around here, especially when it comes to writing grants for some of the projects that are out, housing projects, parks and playground projects, things like that. So public input is incredibly important to this process and valuable to the process as well. So we're trying to spread the word on that. Double Days season opened a couple weeks ago. 1 week from tonight, we'll be down there with the GIVE program, Auburn Police Department with the Cute County Sheriffs and the Cute County District Attorney Office for a free night of baseball 1 week from tonight down at Falcon Park. But the Double Days season is well underway at this point, and if you're looking forward to a free night 1 week from tonight for the GIVE night down at Falcon Park. Then we announcing this week the summer concerts for Hoops Park. Starts next week on Tuesday. The Turntables is the band. We just also posted this afternoon the full schedule for every Tuesday night this summer up at Hoops Park. 6 to 8:30 p.m. Tuesday nights for the next couple of months. Movies will start in July. July and August, Monday nights will be the free movies in city parks. The schedule is on the screen. All this information is also loaded up on the city's website. And then we'll transition to the proclamation that we have tonight. And the Juneteenth event is this Saturday down at the Booker T. Washington Center. And once we read the proclamation, our guests that receive the proclamation will be able to talk a little bit more about this. Thanks, Mayor.
We'll move on to tonight's proclamation.
Hold on a second, Mayor. Just get it pulled up. Proclamation tonight from the office of Mayor Genatino for Juneteenth. Whereas on the 22nd day of September 1862, a proclamation was issued by the President of the United States containing the following language, quote, that on the first day of January 1863, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States shall then be thenceforward and forever free. And the executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authority thereof, will recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons and will do no act or acts to repress such persons or any of them in any efforts they may make for their actual freedom. And whereas on June 19th, 1865, is recognized as the day that Galveston, Texas, received word that all slaves had been formally emancipated by President Lincoln nearly 2.5 years after the emancipation. And whereas Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States, and whereas Juneteenth celebrates African American freedom and achievement, we come together, young and old, to listen, to learn, and to refresh the drive to achieve. It is a day where we all take one step closer together to better utilize the energy wasted on racism. And whereas we pay tribute to the journey, we acknowledge the many roles and contributions of the African American spirit to our society, from Harriet Tubman's work as a conductor of the Underground Railroad to trailblazers of today. And whereas no matter our race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation, we recommit ourselves to honoring the efforts of those who fought so hard to steer our country toward our highest ideals. Now therefore, James Genatino, Mayor of the City of Auburn, on behalf of the City Council and citizens of Auburn, does hereby proclaim June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth here in the City of Auburn.
Thank you. With us this evening to accept the proclamation, Denise Farrington, Executive Director of Booker T. Washington. I do believe you have some co-workers. I think Tia's here and Brandon. Could you join me at the podium, please? Oh, legislator Malta, how are you?
Thank you for this. We want to invite everyone down to our Juneteenth celebration, which is Saturday. It starts at noon and goes till 5 o'clock. We have a couple of bands and vendors and food trucks, and we're very excited about it. This will be our 5th year. So very excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the pinning and promotion ceremonies for Auburn Police Department.
Okay, we are going to start with Sergeant Luke Parker. He'll be joined by his children and his, I believe, wife, Officer Shattinger. Here they come.
I state your name. I, Luke Parker. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of New York. The Constitution of the State of New York. And the Charter of the City of Auburn. And the Charter of the City of Auburn. that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the position of sergeant
of the position of sergeant
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Good job, Riley.
Next will be Detective Andrew Henderson. He'll be joined by his wife, Megan.
Place your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Andrew Henderson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Charter of the City of Auburn,
and the Charter of the City of Auburn,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of detective
of the office of detective
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
I'm a politician, I can hold the baby.
Next is Detective Nicholas Genn, Joyce Benno, and Dave Benno.
Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
Support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
Faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of detective
of the office of detective
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Don't say.
Next is Officer Nicholas Weaver, with his father Jeffrey Weaver and his mother Annette Weaver.
Place your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Nicholas Weaver,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New
and
York,
the Charter of the City of Auburn.
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Next, Officer Malik Atkins, with his mother and his son, and his son's mother, Leanne.
Are you holding? State of New York.
the Constitution of the State of New York.
And the Charter of the City of Auburn.
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Next is Officer Robert Quigley. He'll be joined by William Quigley and Brandy Quigley.
I state your name.
I, Robert Lee,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Next is Officer Luke Lukowski, and he'll be joined by his father and his girlfriend Delaney.
Left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Luke Kowski,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
and the Charter of the City of
And I
Auburn.
will faithfully discharge the duties
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Next is Officer Andrew Stark. He'll be joined by his father.
I state your name.
I, Peter Stark,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Very good.
So this must have been the lineup for the baseball game, because we have the 9th one coming up here. Officer Sal Lamascola with his parents.
I state your name.
I, Salvatore Maslow,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
and the Charter of the City of Auburn.
And I will faithfully discharge my duties
I will faithfully discharge my duties
I screwed up, I'm sorry. And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of police officer.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
Police officer.
also police officer
According to the best of my
according to
ability.
the best of my ability.
I'm the one that screwed it up.
sweaty palms. People are nervous. First, I'd like to congratulate all the officers here tonight on their individual accomplishments. For the group of 6 who initially started as 5, it was a long, grueling 6 months for the academy for you guys, followed by 4 months of FTO. Both presented challenges for you, but you did it. This will be a day that you're able to reflect on your self-accomplishment because you are the one who persevered through those 10 months. You will be able to tell stories when you get older. You'll be able to sit down with each other and laugh and joke. And some hurried up and got here tonight, even though you got here in time. But in all seriousness, with a group of 6 of you coming together, it sounds like you guys have stories amongst each other. And that's a bond you can never break. For Detective Gemman Henderson, congrats. Not only did you two get stuck with each other for 6 months in the police academy, you now have decided to become partners in the detective bureau, for who God knows for how long. I'm sure you two will do great work. You tend to both think outside the box on cases and bring a fresh energy to the detective bureau. And last but not least, Sergeant Parker. There are high expectations for you. I hope this promotion is the first step to them. About 4 or 5 years ago, we had a conversation in the report writing room between you and I have not wavered from my opinion. I expressed that to you that night. Good luck, stay the course, and keep striving to be one of the best supervisors we have. Congratulations, all 9 of you. You're going to represent the city well. Thank you.
On behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Auburn, congratulations to all of you. Each one of you tonight took an oath, some of you for the first time, some of you for the second time, some of you maybe for the third time. I've taken that oath 3 times, and prior to that I took an oath when I enlisted at 17. And an oath is a promise. And tonight you promise to adhere to the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and the Charter of the City of Auburn. But more importantly, you've promised to serve the people of Auburn. And there is no higher calling than public service. I commend each of you for choosing this career, because you choose to do this. Do it to the best of your ability. Remember that the people of the city depend on you. Go to work every day, show empathy, conviction, professionalism, and you will be okay. I'm proud of all of you, and thank you for your service to the city of Auburn. We're going to take a quick recess, but before we do, I'm going to tell some Luke Parker stories. I'm just kidding. We're going to take a 10-minute recess.
Hey, how you doing, bud? Good. I gotta get over to see you. James?
Maybe you'll see me. I'll probably get out Saturday. All right, very good. And the other ones, very good. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Hey, Ron, I think that's everybody if you want to close that. Thank you. All right, we're back in session. And we'll move on to the public to be heard.
At this point in time, we will open the public to be heard portion of the council meeting. Residents are asked to state their name and address for the record. Please keep remarks to 3 minutes or less, and please observe commonly accepted rules of courtesy and decorum.
Is there anyone wishing to be heard this evening? Yes, sir. Come on up. James, how are you?
Doing great. Good evening, members of the council. Been a long time since I've been here.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Absolutely. James Reichert, 14 Rochester Street. I come today feeling a little strange. I don't do this often, but I have a big issue with the flock AI cameras that are in the city and realistically throughout the US. I see them as a massive invasion into who we are as a people. I know Auburn is, I've heard it described in the past as a place kind of behind the times, not in a bad way, but in the way of we hold who we are and we don't let trends and things influence us and pull us off of who we are as a people. Kind of one of the reasons I fell in love with this place. You know, I wanted to raise my family here, bought a home here, started a business here. I see these as a really terrible thing for our people here and abroad. You know, I don't find them safe. I don't know what outside of our police force they are truly there for. If it was just a contract for our people, for our citizens, for our police force, for our county, it's one thing. But these are a national database, easily broken into, easy enough to get credentials online. There's already been cases of the same password being used in multiple municipalities. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. I know a little while back people were here talking about this. I had no time to be able to come. But it's an issue that I feel very strongly about. It genuinely scares me what the future is going to hold when our information continually gets taken from us, continually stripped from us along with our liberties. I'm saddened that Auburn is a part of this national phenomena of things being taken from us and our rights being eroded one piece at a time. However, I don't think there was any malicious intent for these things. I think that the intention was all pure and right.
30 seconds.
So my hope is that through your own due diligence, you look into this and make the conclusion for yourselves if this is something that Auburn should really be continuing to hold and to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riker. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard this evening? Oh, Ms. Okazak, yes.
Hello, my name is Pam O'Cusick. I live at Chapman Avenue. So I just wanted to bring up a couple things. I spoke last week about an issue with the dog warden. Just wanted to bring up the fact that there's been another dog attack on Chapman Avenue Tuesday night. The dogs at large attacked another family with their 2 children. The other issue I wanted to bring up is the sad fact, if you look at the room, all the people that are sitting in the back of the room, because tonight we come here week after week to support you all and try to help out with the important issues of Auburn. Mr. Bonifano hasn't been here in what, 5-6 weeks? We all got pushed to the back of the room. She was not even able to sit down tonight. Do you think anybody got up and gave her a seat to sit down? No. And we all got pushed to the back of the room. No officer stayed. None of the family stayed for the meeting, but we all got pushed to the back of the room. None of their jobs got cut. They all got jobs. But how many people in the city workers and the garbage people and the sewer people and Mrs. Haynes' secretary got cut? But we're here week after week. Where are the police? They couldn't even stay for the meeting tonight. But you know what? We'll keep fighting for their jobs. But they won't even stay and fight for their own jobs. But you know what? Thanks. No problem. We'll continue to sit in the back of the room.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard this evening? Mr. Bishop?
Good evening. My name is Andy Bishop. I live at 19 Bradford Street, right here in good old Auburn, New York. And of course, as always, I have my sign with me. Maybe nobody wants to really look at it. It happens to mention about it's welcome to Auburn. Don't drink the water. I kind of wish you'd held the police off for a few minutes. I'm sure more than a few of them would love to hear about this crime. I'm sure they would have been quite surprised when they heard about how Danny Wegman cuts a check for 13 or 14 grand for the chlorine for the pool at Casey Park. God bless them. But my 3 grand to the city to do stable isotope analysis to determine the culprits following Wasco Lake is left on the floor like a crumpled up, used up candy wrapper, and some kind gentleman gave it back to me. Although I'm sure a few of them have heard it. Now, of course, I went ahead, just like I said, now when I filed my FOIL request to the fire department, I'm going to get those bank statements, and I'm going to get those credit card statements, because I figure if the same corruption that would go after me for speaking out about this, that's my opinion, but I say obviously there was some peculiar activities, as I've explained in the past. Then I asked, of course, too, for the credit card monthly statements for the chief, because I asked AI, this thing is like great in some ways. I asked it, well, what's the majority of these, fire chiefs that are dirty? How do you get popped? Credit card receipts. Credit card. They were shuffling the money. Like my dad said when I asked him 12 years old, Dad, why don't we leave this community? He goes, you don't understand, Andy. Wherever there's money, there's hands. He knew. He was a mailman here for 28 years. He knew all of Auburn's dirty secrets. A lot of them. So here we are, once again. And, I noticed there's more people now that jumped on the bandwagon with that lawsuit. I don't know if you're aware of it yet. It's coming up soon. Well, they're complaining about their gallbladders. And who's the one person? What is it? Colitis. There's a lot of stuff getting right past the carbon filtration. And as I'm absolutely as God made little green apples, you guys have discussed behind closed doors about using reverse osmosis. It's the only logical next step. It's only going to get worse. Until Moravia and Groton are called out on the carpet for their blatant misuse of their ability to just send the samples in and then, okay, everything's fine, but nobody's going to check on the fact they got an 8-inch water pipe going full blast 24 hours a day.
Your time's up, Mr. Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank
members
you.
of City Council, members of the
See you
public.
next week. Mr. Sinsabo.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to begin by expressing my appreciation
State your name
for
and
your.
address, please.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Scott Sincerbo, CEO of the Auburn YMCA, 27 Williams Street and 6008 East Lake Road in Auburn. Want to begin by expressing my appreciation for your unanimous vote to accept the donation from the Auburn YMCA and Wegmans to open the Casey Park Pool. That decision matters. It matters because Casey Park Pool is not just a recreational amenity, it's a vital community resource. It serves families who may not otherwise have access to safe, supervised swimming. It provides a place for kids to gather, stay active, and stay out of harm's way during the summer months. So thank you again. I'd like to turn to a different matter. Earlier this week, I was informed that the city made the decision to eliminate the crossing guard position at the corner of Williams Street and Westlake. Unfortunately, I didn't hear this from the city. I heard it directly from the crossing guard himself. I have to be honest, I'm disappointed. From an organization that has consistently demonstrated commitment to being a strong and reliable community partner and a partner to the city of Auburn. Let me share with you what this means. The Auburn YMCA Early Learning Center serves more than 135 children every single day, ranging in ages from 18 months to 4 years old. I view my #1 responsibility is to keep those kids safe. For the last year, we've invested in their safety by adding over $25,000 in security features inside the Early Learning Center and building a toddler playground to keep our youngest learners at arm's reach. For approximately 3 hours each day, that crossing guard plays a critical role in ensuring that these young children and their families can safely navigate the busy intersection. Without that support, those children and their parents are now at risk. Yesterday morning, I spoke directly with the security guard to see if he still wants to continue protecting the kids and parents at that intersection. Without hesitation, he said yes. The approximate cost of that crossing guard is $10,000. I'd ask you, is $10,000 in budget savings worth putting these kids at risk? It's 0.02% of the budget. For the YMCA's, the answer is clearly no, and that's why our resolve is clear. The crossing guard will be there when the kids come back in the fall. I'm humbly asking the city to reconsider this decision and reinstate the crossing guard on Williams Street and not put this burden on the Auburn YMCA. Please know we remain committed to the city, committed to partnership, and most importantly, we remain committed to the safety of the children and families in this community. Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anyone else wishing to be heard this evening? Close the public to be heard. Meeting minutes will be forthcoming next week. City manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a word on the refuse collection special pickup schedule this week because of the Juneteenth holiday. We've received a lot of phone calls regarding trash pickup, as all pickups were a day early this week. Thank you to Jeremy Hudson and crews that handle refuse collection for getting the work done efficiently each day and then picking up at properties who had missed the pickup information for this week. We're asking residents to check the city website and streamline for updates, especially as we approach the July 4th holiday, where we'll have the same situation with day early pickup. Today, Cayuga Community College hosted a workshop for the New York State Consolidated Funding Application. This workshop provided information on funding opportunities available through the CFA process. Representatives from Empire State Development were in attendance to present program information and answer questions. The applications for a majority of these programs are due on July 31st, 2026. We would encourage any and all who are interested in New York State funding to visit the Regional Economic Development Council's website at regionalcouncils.ny.gov/CFA for additional information. And I wanted to recognize one city employee who is retiring this upcoming week, Myron Latinishin in the sewer department with over 30 years of service. Thank you to Myron, who served our organization with excellence, and we wish him all the best.
Any questions for Ms. Haynes? Reports from members of council? Councilor Cuddy.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The mayor and myself attended the ADA meeting last night. We do site visits for businesses that do have a pilot with Auburn Industrial Development Authority. Yesterday we were at the Plaza for the Arts, and Dan Souls was the host. He gave a really nice overview of his the history of his business, but also one of the things that struck me with his history was his commitment to the city of Auburn. And a couple things that stuck out to me is he said something to the effect that if you're not growing, you're dying, or something like that. And I felt like, wow, that's pretty cut and dry. But he saw what the city has been doing over the last few years as promising, and and he mentioned several things that have happened downtown, noting the businesses growing in the city, and I just felt that his commitment to Plaza for the Arts, bridging east, downtown with the West End. I just felt that it was good to see somebody recognizing all of the work that has been done over the last few years with businesses to really help Auburn show its best side, to be pro-business, to be, to show that we are open for business. So I just wanted to share my takeaway from Mr. Souls' introduction to the Plaza for the Arts, and he continues to see promise in this city, and we're glad to continue to partner with him on that.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Diego?
Thanks, Mayor. Attended that second annual Recovery Fest at the Auburn Lions Church Saturday. It's a nice event for people in recovery. There's a ton of resources there. They had tables. It went on for 8 hours. Nice event. Nice to support something along those lines as well. Yesterday I met with Fire Chief Fritz. I appreciate you taking the time to keep me updated on a few things we were speaking of and stuff. I know you're busy, but appreciate you letting me come up and speak in person with you. And we had the Harriet Tubman home, on the advisory committee out there. We met there last night. It's nice. They're integrating us with the kids a little bit. Some are obviously going to state prison when they are a little older. Some may be going home, but it's nice to interact and give them a different side of the view, especially being that worked in Department of Corrections as well. Thank you.
Very good, thank you, Counselor. All right, got a marathon here tonight. Hopefully the city clerk brought some water. Secret resolution number 1 of 2026, determining that the proposed activities are type 2 actions for purposes of New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Diego, second by Councilor Cuddy.
State Environmental Quality Review Resolution number 1 of 2026, whereas the City Council of the City of Auburn is the sponsor of certain proposed capital improvements to the city's buildings and infrastructure and acquisition of certain equipment and materials, which activities are further described on the attached Exhibit A. And whereas the city desires to comply with the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act as set forth in Article 8 of the New York State Environmental Conservation Law, in the requirements of the implementing regulations set forth at 6 NYCRR Part 617, also known as the regulations with respect to the project. And whereas pursuant to the regulations, the city has considered the project in light of the actions included on Type 1 list specified in Section 617.4 of the regulations, and in light of the actions included on Type 2 list specified in Section 6175 of the regulations. Now therefore be it resolved by the members of the City Council of the city that 1, the project constitutes a type 2 action, as the quoted term is defined in the regulations, because the activities involved fall within the ambit of one or more of the following actions included on the type 2 list specified in the 6 NYCRR section 617.5C1, 2, and or 31. Maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes in an existing structure or facility. Replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building, energy, or fire codes. And purchase or sale of furnishings, equipment, or supplies, including surplus government property, other than the following: land, radioactive material, pesticides, herbicides, or other hazardous materials. 2, the project is not subject to further review under the Seeker Act, and 3, the resolution will take effect immediately.
Thank you. By way of background, this is in relation to geothermal HVAC systems that service City Hall, Police and Ambulance Headquarters, and a stairwell on the first floor at the ambulance station. Questions or discussion from the council? Councilor Diego?
Yeah, I just had one question. Basically, it's just, from what I read, it's just making sure that we fall into that type 2 category, so we don't need any more, oversight, this or that. As long as we fall into the category, it's kind of a formality before they can move forward, correct?
So, yes, Counselor, when the city issues a bond ordinance, seeker is required because the bond resolution is considered a discretionary action. Seeker process varies depending on the capital project, but for the scope of this particular project, it does fall under a type 2 action, which does not require any further seeker compliance.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion from the council? Please call the roll.
Counselor Diego?
Yes.
Counselor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Counselor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Before we move on to the next resolution, City Manager Haynes does have some pictures of these HVAC units. Do you want to do that now or when we vote on the bond resolution?
It's up to you.
We can wait till the bond resolution.
Okay.
All right. Seeker Resolution Number 2 of 2026, declaring intent to act as lead agency for the City of Auburn Reservoir and Transmission Main Improvement Projects. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Diego, second by Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
State Environmental Quality Review Resolution 2 of 2026, whereas the City Council of the City of Auburn intends to undertake improvements such as but not limited to the rehabilitation of the Franklin Street Reservoir System, water transmission main, and lower pump station, installation of new mechanical and electrical equipment, and the construction of 1 new water storage tank at the existing Franklin Street Reservoir located at 3158 Franklin Street Road in the town of Senate. And whereas the City Council of the City of Auburn will be required to review the above Type 1 action in accordance with Article 8 of the New York Conservation Law and the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act regulations. And whereas the New York State Department of Health and Environmental Conservation in the town of Senate may be considered involved agencies in such review with respect to approvals and or permitting of the project. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Auburn, New York, that it does hereby declare its intent to act as lead agency for the purposes of completing a coordinated environmental review in accordance with seeker and direct staff to provide involved agencies with pertinent project materials and seek comment with regard to the project in compliance with the seeker requirements.
Questions and discussion from the council? Councilor Diego.
Yeah, just basically the same thing as the resolution before this. We have to appoint a lead agency so that we can continue the process and go through the review, correct?
That's correct. Just a little background on that. Thank you, Counselor. So with this resolution, there's no formal project approval being requested, but determination of lead agency is a requirement of the WIA grant funding we're looking to apply for. Grant applications are due last week of July. The Department of Municipal Utilities will be providing a full project update presentation to the council next week, which will be followed by a 30-day comment period associated with seeker process. So this needs to be initiated at the meeting this week to meet the grant deadline, and then the council would need to determine if they want to move the project forward after that.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion from the council? Please call the roll.
Counselor Diego?
Yes.
Counselor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Counselor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Bond ordinance number 2 of 2026, authorizing the issuance of $2.8 million of serial bonds to finance the cost of general fund building improvements. Do we have a sponsor? Counselor Cuddy, second by Counselor Overstreet Wilson.
Bond ordinance number 2 of 2026, authorizing the issuance of $2,800,000 serial bonds to finance the cost of the various capital projects. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Auburn as follows. Section 1, the City of Auburn, Q County, is hereby authorized to undertake the various capital projects described below, each a project at an aggregate estimated maximum cost of $2,800,000. The estimated maximum cost of each project is follows. A, city municipal buildings geothermal HVAC replacement, the installation or reconstruction of a heating system in a building, including the replacement of HVAC handlers, pumping system, and electrical controls, and related upgrade of the existing geothermal HVAC system at 3 municipal buildings, being City Hall, the police station, and the ambulance headquarters, at an estimated maximum cost not to exceed $2,750,000, and to use an aggregate $2,750,000 in serial bonds pursuant to the provisions of the local finance law to finance the estimated costs of the aforesaid object or purpose. B, city buildings and grounds improvements, the renovation or reconstruction of various city-owned buildings, whether or not including grading or improvement of the site's original furnishings, equipment, machinery, or apparatus required for the purposes for which such buildings are to be used, including a staircase replacement project in the ambulance headquarters at an estimated maximum cost not to exceed $50,000, and to issue the aggregate $50,000 in serial bonds pursuant to the provisions of the local finance law to finance the estimated costs of the aforesaid object or purpose. It is hereby determined that the maximum estimated cost of the aforesaid specific objects or purpose is $2,800,000. Said amount is hereby appropriated, therefore, and the plan for the financing thereof shall consist of the issuance of the $2,800,000 in serial bonds. It is hereby determined that the period of probable usefulness of these specific objects or purposes to Section 11A of the local finance law are as follows. The city municipal buildings geothermal HVAC replacement period of probable usefulness is 15 years, and the local finance law Section 11A defines that. And then the city buildings and grounds improvements period of probable usefulness is 25 years, defined in local finance law Section 11A 12A1.
Before we open it up for questions and discussion, I know the city manager does have some photos of the HVAC units that I think are pertinent to the conversation here.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Christina Salvik, our Director of Capital Projects and Grants, prepared those. Christina, if you could put those up while we're talking through this. We just wanted to illustrate the gravity of the situation as we're talking through this bond. Thank you, Christina. And any questions I have, Christina here and Seth Jensen, our city engineer, to assist with questions related to the bond.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. There was a request for a little more background and information on our current geothermal network that we have here at City Hall, and that also service our ambulance, old habits die hard. So our ambulance headquarters and police headquarters. So I'm just going to walk through a few slides tonight, and then we can talk about the project overall. So our current geothermal HVAC system here at City Hall and Police and Ambulance. So 2023 is when the heating and cooling system was installed. At that time, it replaced steam radiators throughout the building and installed 72 heat pumps. Here in council chambers, we have one underneath each of the windowsills, and they were so nicely covered up and integrated into the building system. So a lot of individuals that go through the building don't even notice that this is our heating and cooling system here at City Hall. Police and ambulance, 2 years later, same thing. Both sites have wells that were installed in the parking lots outside of the buildings, and again, steam radiators were replaced with 90 heat pumps at that location. So here at City Hall, the main pump system is down in our basement. We have 2 pumps that help to circulate the cooling and heating system here within the building, and then those are examples of what the water source heat pumps look like that are located in the offices throughout the building. Police and ambulance, just to give you an idea, so those were the pumps that were very similar to here at City Hall, and an overall diagram of what the system looks like. So we have the wells that are located outside. They help to circulate cool and warm water depending upon the heating or cooling season. The pumps help to keep the circulation and pressure within the system. There at police and ambulance, goes up to 2nd and 3rd floor, similar here at City Hall as well. And then they have internal loops to help keep the water moving as needed. So here's an example from March of one of our units, or the lack thereof. This is in our engineering department. We are really struggling with finding replacement parts. We have had units that have caught on fire or leaked over at the police department. We are constantly having compressor, fan, motor, electrical board issues that no longer work. Engineering created a very long list for the ambulance station. About a year ago, there were at least 8 to 10 units that needed assistance at that time. So because of the scope of the project, this did kick it into a capital improvement category. So the bond ordinance, particularly for the geothermal, in total was $2,750,000, and the breakdown is such. Design and system testing, we had about $140,000 there. We would need to go out for RFP for that, for assistance, A&E assistance. Needs to go through a sealed bid process, and in total we have about 162 units, and it's believed about 10 grand a piece for a replacement. And that really is the bulk of the project, is replacement of each of the console units. We do need to review and look at the heat pumps, and then the brains behind the operation, which is the electrical boards, and making sure that that all works and is upgraded. We are going to review the BTUs needed for each of the units and make sure that they still match with the heat and cooling loads needed at each of the buildings. There is some general mechanical needed, and then 10% contingency for the project based upon bids. Any questions on funding?
Specifically for Ms. Selvik?
Just one question. I know we had spoke a little bit a few weeks ago. I think a couple slides before, that's why I was asking. I remember you guys were saying during the year that we had a hard time trying to keep these things running, and it was very, I remember, and don't quote me on it, but I thought we said one day they come in and it was like $8,000 for one day trying to get a couple of these things running. That's the only reason I asked, and obviously it can only do what we can do, but to push the project along as fast as we can, because we're looking at going through all this winter into the beginning of next winter into February before they're all completed. It's just going to be a ton of money for us if they're, you know what I mean, if they're not done.
Yes, correct, Counselor. So because we do have municipal procurement and bidding requirements, but we do really want to review the heat and loading needed within the buildings. So we do plan on hiring someone to help us with that, with the system design, make sure we're still meeting what was spec'd out by NYPA, you know, over 20, 25 years ago, and make sure that's current. So make sure we have good information on that, then we'll go out for bid, and unfortunately that just all takes time. So we're probably looking still at like an 18-month project.
So we'll just prioritize probably whatever ones, like I remember speaking when I was at the police station over the winter there, and they had like 6 units that completely didn't work and 8 that they were testing. And I know here we had some that didn't work in the ambulance, but obviously it would just be a prioritized to make sure that everybody has the heat and the employees that they need.
Yes, again, correct. We've been piecemealing units as needed, prioritizing spaces, you know, where we definitely have, you know, a lot of need or records or anything of that sort. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll do our best. Yep.
Any
I
other?
have a quick question. Do you anticipate there being any impact like on the, our gas and electric bill? Since we'll be replacing, and that will be a part of our heat, and I imagine that folks will need to plug in heaters to keep offices warm. Do you anticipate that
We've
increasing
already,
that cost?
yes, Counselor, it's a really good point. We've already been dealing with some needs for like intermittent space heating as units are, you know, coming and going out of service. So we'll have to make, you know, preparations for that. But electrical load, maybe with the newer units, we're actually hoping maybe they're a little more efficient, which would be great. I can't promise any savings at this point because once we did go off natural gas and we're all on geothermal at this point, I just don't know how far the industry has come with their changes, but we'll find out once we go out to bid.
Thank you.
I know we have to go out to bid. Will part of the criteria in evaluating those bids be that there's somebody local that can service them? I mean, obviously, early on there'll be warranties, but once those warranties expire, I just want to make sure there's somebody in the local area that will be able to service whatever units we purchase.
We have a meeting, staff has a meeting scheduled for next week to talk about that very same thing. So we're going to talk about the A&E RFP and then also what type of units we're going to look at for specification. We can't spec very particular units. We need something that's going to match the system and the loading, but it can be equal to you know, what we have currently. You know, in general, I think, you know, they're basically little heat pumps. So, you know, mechanically, we should be able to find people locally that could service those.
And if I remember correctly, it's an Auburn company that we use now to service?
It is currently,
Okay.
yes.
All right, very good. Any other questions?
Yeah, just a comment, yeah. A lot of people, you know, obviously, we passed the budget last week, and they say, oh, now you're spending $2.8 million following week. This isn't something that we just decided we were going to do. You can't have employees working without proper HVAC. You can't have the employees at the ambulance walking up, you know, through stairwells. That's a safety hazard. And it's not something we took lightly. Obviously, it's a lot of money, but it's a necessity. It's not something that we're just doing because we want to go spend almost $3 million. It has to be done, and it should be done for the employees that are working for the city. Thank you.
That's a good point, Counselor. And I think it's also important to note on that topic that it is included in our 5-year capital plan that we discussed here. So it is all being planned accordingly. It's a very good point. Any other questions or discussion? Please call a roll.
Counselor Diego?
Yes.
Counselor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Counselor Cuddy?
Yes.
And Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Excuse me. Grant acceptance resolution number 61 of 2026, accepting funding from the U.S. Department of Justice for the 2025 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program. Do we have a sponsor? Counselor Diego, second by Counselor Cuddy.
Grant acceptance number 61 of 2026. Whereas the Auburn Police Department is a local law enforcement agency committed to enhancing the quality of life in the city by working cooperatively with citizenry to enforce the laws, preserve the peace, and provide for a safe environment. The other thing that the HVA system does is messes with these microphones in here, whether you realize it or not. Looking forward to the fix for that as well. Whereas in December 2025, the Auburn Police Department submitted an application to the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, for funding assistance to acquire bulletproof vests to support and protect law enforcement officers in the city. And whereas in May 2026, the City of Auburn Police Department received notification of a 2025 U.S. DOG BJA Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program Grant Award in the sum of $17,061.04 that reimburses local jurisdictions up to 50% of the cost of body armor vests purchased for law enforcement officers. And whereas, based upon this post-award notification, the Auburn Police Department anticipates procuring up to 25 bulletproof vests for a total estimated project cost of $34,122.08, with 50% of the cost of body armor vests paid for by the BVP program, and the balance paid through the Auburn Police Department fiscal year 2026-27 operating equipment budget. Now therefore be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Auburn hereby accepts the fiscal year 2025 US DOJ BJA Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program grant in the amount of $17,061.04 and authorizes an allowable local cash match of $17,061.04 from Police Operating Supplies account number A3120412. Be it further resolved, the City Comptroller is authorized to recognize grant funding from the United States Department of Justice in the amount of the $17,061.04 into the Federal Revenue Account A994777. Be it further resolved that it'll take effect immediately.
Question and discussion from the council. Councilor Diego.
Yeah, just a comment. This is kind of going back to what we just spoke a moment ago. It's not something we're just doing to do. Anybody with law enforcement background, they know that there's a shelf life on these bulletproof vests. The plates have to be replaced at a certain interval. So this is once again a safety issue, and of course we're going to be on board with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
I don't know, it might be for the chief. Just a couple. Is this the first time we've applied for this grant, or is this a?
No, we applied for it last year also.
Okay.
We have them on a rotation. They expire every 5 years. So we try to keep them about half the department or so. So we got about half last year. We're looking to get the other half this year.
Do we have any other grants coming up that that the department has applied for either staffing reimbursement or community engagement? I know we have 2 grants already, but are there any additional grants that
we've applied for?
Yeah, or in review?
We've been actively looking at different grants. I know we looked at the one that was Firehouse Subs, I believe, a while back. It was like $40,000 for different equipment. We're always actively looking. We looked at one, I think, for officer wellness. That was an amount of about $250,000. So we are looking. It's just if we're getting awarded or not. Some of these grants are very competitive. So.
I imagine. Okay. Just note that the only reason why I was asking these questions is because I think it's helpful as council when we know that grants are being applied for, and if there's a really good chance for us to get them, it's just helpful, especially as we think about the budget and the budget process and where money might have to be taken from, or what we may have to cut and don't desire to cut. So that's why I'm asking about the grants. Thank you.
Chief, thank you to you, Sergeant Gilfus, Ms. Selvik, for pursuing this funding. Every little bit helps. Definitely important to keep our officers safe. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Agreement Resolution Number 62 of 2026, authorizing change order number 5 for the biosolids dryer and wastewater treatment plant improvement project engineering contract. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Cuddy, second by Councilor Diego.
That was a lot.
Agreement Resolution 62, whereas Brown and Caldwell is the design firm of record assisting the City of Auburn on all professional engineering tasks associated with the biosolids dryer and wastewater treatment plant improvement project, including our overflow retention facility replacement. And whereas the city has continued its relationship with Brown and Caldwell for these services by way of change order to its original contract and has authorized expenditures in the amount of $9,926,450. And whereas the costs associated with design services during construction related to the ORF facility and biosolids processing and improvement project were projected through April 12, 2026 is executed in part of the previous change orders number 3 and 4. And whereas it is necessary to cover costs with associated tax credit reimbursement support, continued biosolids engineering services, and ORF engineering services during construction through the end of April 1st, 2027. And whereas city staff recommends that Brown and Caldwell of Syracuse, New York, perform the aforementioned tasks as part of the change order number 5 for an amount not to exceed $419,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Auburn City Council does hereby authorize change order number 5 to Brown and Caldwell of Syracuse for the aforementioned professional engineering services associated with tax credit engineering assistance and design services through construction for the biosolids dryer and wastewater treatment plant improvement project in the amount of $419,000. Be it further resolved, the mayor is authorized to sign the change order number 5 and related documents for the project on behalf of the city. Be it further resolved, the cost of the resolution in the amount of $419,000 is to be charged to the biosolids dryer capital account HG8130440KN.
Council, Mr. Jensen is here, as well as Ms. Selvik. Any questions? Councilor Diego?
Yeah, the only question I had, I spoke with Seth earlier about it as well. That $419,000, that's already allocated. We already have that money. There's no new spending involved in this. That's money that's already there.
Correct.
And that's, I think, an important part about that is when you read through the contract, it was talking about that tax credit reimbursement. If I think correctly, that was anywhere from $9 to $14 million. They're going to help us apply for that, correct?
Correct.
So this, once again, money well spent then. Appreciate it.
Any other questions from the council? Mr. Jensen, how are we doing down there?
We're doing pretty good. Just last week was the first time I've seen our dryer produce about 75% dry solids. So with any luck, over the next few weeks, we've spent a considerable amount of time staff training this week. Our dryer should be up and operational, but working through some of the kinks.
Sure.
It was actually one of the first pieces of equipment that we started up, and it actually worked the right way the first time. But as they go through the day, there's some quirks and kinks along the way, but initial startup went smooth. The staff has been fantastic working through it. We're anticipating the biosolids portion, like the original scope portion of work, to be generally wrapped up by the end of July. And the primary focus will then shift towards the ORF, finishing up the ORF improvements. So we're pushing really hard. One of the reasons is for the tax credits, we want to be able to have any of the qualifying assets associated with the tax incentives and rebates through the federal government need to be done by the end of June, substantially complete. And all of those qualifying assets, like the digester, the sludge thickening processes, are complete at this point. So we're just wrapping up the dryer and looking forward to much less costs associated with removal of biosolids on an annual basis.
When do you expect the ORF project to be complete?
So we're hoping that will go into beneficial use by the end of this year. The reason we carried the end date with Brown and Caldwell through the spring of next year is I'm sure there's going to be some ancillary cleanup, maybe some site paving, and then just any other trouble systems that are still lingering. But hopefully we're up and running that ORF by December this year.
Yeah, I see the periodic reimbursements from the state coming in, so that's good.
Yes.
Are we on track or under budget?
We are like on budget.
Okay, good.
We're very, very close.
Good.
Across the board. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions from the council? Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Agreement Resolution Number 63 of 2026, authorizing an agreement with Auburn Downtown Partnership, Inc. for beautification of the downtown bid district. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Cuddy, second by Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
Agreement Resolution 63 Whereas for several years, the City of Auburn and the Auburn Downtown Partnership Incorporated, also known as the Downtown Auburn Business Improvement District, have entered into an agreement whereby the bid provides services for general maintenance for beautification of streets and parks within the downtown business district. And whereas the current agreement expires on June 30th, 2026, and the parties would like to propose a new one-year agreement, which is attached here to and incorporated herein. Whereas the proposed agreement sets forth no payment to the bid, and whereas the proposed agreement waives the bid's final two payments for a 2018 Ford F-150 XL truck, the sale of which was previously authorized by Agreement Resolution 70 of 2023 by the City Council. And whereas the proposed agreement will be effective July 1st, 2026 and expire June 30th, 2027. Now therefore be it resolved, the Auburn City Council does hereby approve an agreement with the Downtown Business Improvement District for beautification services maintaining streets and parks in the Downtown Business Improvement District. Be it further resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized to sign the agreement with the downtown bid and any and all documents necessary to carry out the resolution. I can talk on this.
Yeah, you want to provide some background?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Myself, I serve to the bid board as the City Council's representative. Mike Talbot serves as a representative to the bid board. It'll soon be Brian Rhodes that's taking his place. And then Steve Selvik from our planning department serves on the bid board. So there's 3 city representatives on the bid board. The rest of the bid board is made up of downtown property owners and merchants. And they have worked for several years in partnership, as their name suggests, with the city on many different issues. Maintenance of the downtown area, definitely I think being a success story for the bid and for the city over the last several years. The way that we've been able to do that is with a maintenance agreement. In recent years, that agreement has been $55,000. With this year's budget situation, we basically zeroed out that maintenance agreement. The bid board has been very understanding through the entire process. We've worked very closely with them to kind of redefine and reallocate how we will be taking care of the general downtown area. Basically, a lot of the parks maintenance and stuff will go back to the city Department of Public Works, taking care of those. Removal of trash in the city trash receptacles throughout the downtown area will go back to the city. And the city Department of Public Works is coming up with a new strategy for how they will be removing that trash on a daily and weekly basis. The bid will continue to do the downtown flower program, and the bid will continue to do the some spot checking of the general public areas in the downtown area with the picking up of litter, sweeping up of debris and stuff, some of the special work that happens. So the city would hand over to the bid through the contract $50,000 or $55,000 these last couple of budget years. But the bid also takes some of its money, and the bid raises its money from a special assessment on the building specifically within the downtown bid area. So it's about $40,000 that the bid spends, upper 30s, close to $40,000 that the bid spends specifically on the maintenance of the downtown area, mostly through the flower program and now the removal of trash and debris through a part-time staff person that'll be out there in the summer months picking up some extra trash. Now, the flower program remains a kind of a joint partnership between the city, in that the city basically owns the pots. The city Department of Public Works helps with putting the pots out in the spring, picking up the pots in the fall. We store the pots over the winter time down at the DPW garage. We've worked with the bid on the vehicle. Now the vehicle, I do want to, in the interest of transparency, I do want to share the update on the vehicle. The bid has had to put we sold this vehicle to the bid about 3 years ago. It was a city truck that had been used for about a decade by city staff, was available, and we sold it to the bid for $20,000, $4,000 or $5,000 payments over a 4-year period. The bid has made the first 2 of those payments. However, this past year, we unfortunately had to put a transmission into the truck. The bid paid for the transmission work. It was very expensive, but the truck has additional maintenance issues. The truck is being used right now. Truck continues to be used. However, there's not much life expectancy in all reality on that truck. So the city continues to work with the bid on, with the flower program. We help them with the maintenance of the truck. We do help them with, the truck is parked at DPW on a daily and nightly basis. But that's one of the reasons why what we're asking for in this maintenance contract is that the city would, with the reduction of the $55,000 down to 0, if the city could assist with the waiving of the last 2 truck payments. We got a lot of work out of that truck, but it's basically ready to not serve us too much longer. So that's the request in there for the bid, the waiving of those 2 payments. My thanks to everybody at the bid that's been working with us through this. They've done an amazing job over the years, and I think it shows in the way that our downtown is kept up with the flowers and the clean streets, and it is a great partnership project between the city and between the bid. Mike, who serves on the bid board, keeps in close tabs with what's going on downtown, and we're oftentimes working in partnership on various things. And so this maintenance contract will continue in a more primitive form. We appreciate the partnership and the work and the open mind that the bid board has had with us through this process.
Any questions or discussion from the council?
Yeah, just a comment. I spoke with the clerk multiple times about this. We spoke about this a couple months ago. At first, I was against it until I did a little more research and spoke with them. And when I went through the line item budget, we removed that whole $55,000 that we gave them. It was almost like a wash for me at that point, because it'd be like, instead of giving them $55,000, we took $45,000 away. I did a little research in the vehicle itself, and it's not really booking out value-wise at $10,000 in the conditions in anyways right now. So it's kind of a wash for me, but no, it's they still do a lot of work for us and everything, and the vehicle is what it is, covering the maintenance and everything. So yeah, I'm on board.
Very good. Any other questions? Yes.
Just a comment. One of the things that folks often tell me is how beautiful downtown Auburn is. And in the morning, there are times when I have to have meetings in Syracuse or in Geneva. I will see folks working. I will see our city workers working to beautify downtown. And as I'm driving through, I'm like, this is what people do that nobody sees. So I think it's a well-made investment by our city to keep our downtown as beautiful as it is. And when I thought about what the request was, at that point in time, I was fully supportive of it. But hearing you talk more about it, Chuck, it just solidified how I felt internally and why this is so important that we take a look at this from a realistic point of view. If the truck is gonna kaput, it doesn't make sense. So definitely, I just want to thank them for the work they do.
How long has the bid been around? About 25 years?
Yep.
25 years. I served on the bid board for a number of years, and I just want to reiterate what the clerk said about the cooperation, not only in the bid board and the business owners within the bid, but with the city. These are small business owners that take time out of their day to attend these meetings and really look out for each other throughout the business district, and it shows. So I'm glad that we can continue this partnership. Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Agreement Resolution Number 64 of 2026, authorizing an operations agreement with the Auburn Downtown Partnership, Inc. for operations of the New York State Equal Rights Heritage Center. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Cuddy, second by Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
Agreement Resolution 64 whereas the city has an established partnership with the Auburn Downtown Partnership, also known as the Auburn Bid, for the operation of the New York State Equal Rights Heritage Center, which has been successful since the center's opening in 2018. And whereas the existing agreement for operations of the RHC between the city and the bid expires June 30th, 2026, and whereas the city and the bid now propose the attached agreement for continued operation of this Heritage Center, which is attached here to and incorporated herein. And whereas the term of the proposed agreement is from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, and provides for an ERHC operations budget of $200,000, which is funding allocated in the fiscal year 2026-2027 New York State budget due to the efforts of Senator Rachel May, and includes support for administration, programs, and marketing of the city's Historic and Cultural Sites Commission. The funding is allocated in the city's fiscal year 2026-27 budget under the Equal Rights Heritage Center account number A1621440. And whereas the attached agreement will become effective upon approval of the bid board of directors, now therefore be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Auburn hereby approves an agreement with the Auburn Downtown Bid for services related to operating the New York State Equal Rights Heritage Center and providing administrative support for the city's Historic and Cultural Sites Commission for a term commencing on July 1st, 2026 and ending on June 30th, 2027. Together with all of the terms and conditions set forth in the agreement, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein. Be it further resolved, the City Council hereby authorizes the City Controller to make payment to the downtown bid as outlined in the agreement, and be it further resolved, the City Council of the City of Auburn authorizes the mayor to sign the agreement with the downtown bid and any and all documents necessary to carry out the resolution.
Questions?
Speak on this.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I can just start out with a little introduction here. This is a resolution that we do annually. We have had a great partnership with the downtown bid, that they have been our operator through this contract since the beginning of the project. It's hard to believe that it'll be 8 years in November, but 9-10 years ago we were working to put all this stuff in place. Time flies. They have been our operating partner since the beginning. This is funded with $200,000 that comes in from the state budget, thanks to Senator May, as the resolution points out. There's also 3 tenants of the building that pay rent, and everybody has a kind of a tourism service industry theme. The Taste of York Market will pay an annual rent of $7,000. The Q County Office of Tourism pays a rent of $14,000, and then the Auburn Downtown Bid for their office pays an annual rent of $6,000. So the total revenue, if you call it, in our city budget associated with this building is $227,000. What's in the city's budget this year that was just approved last week was $222,000. $200,000 is this contract that we're voting on tonight. Another $20,000 is the electric payment that gets made by the city for the building. And then there's a $1,000 charge for a separate safety contract that's associated with the building through a local contractor, and there is a $1,000 in the budget for miscellaneous cleaning supplies through the city. So $227,000 of revenue, $222,000 worth of expenses in this year's budget. Now, we've had a change as far as how the city is going to staff the building from the maintenance end of things, and the maintenance person for the city garage that's been over there for the last 5 or 6 years is retiring in a couple of weeks. So the maintenance of that building will be taken on by staff here at City Hall, our city maintenance crew here at City Hall, as well as the Heritage Center staff. We'll be meeting in the beginning of July with our city's Department of Public Works staff and them to figure out the future maintenance of the building. But that's kind of how it's going to be absorbed in the budget here with our City Hall staff. The bid board is very open-minded and very has worked with us very generously on this, as far as the work that they do to help us oversee this, and their cooperation with making it just, they understand the situation that we're in with the state funding, and so we make it a year-to-year budget. We also have that agreement in place. The Cornell Cooperative Extension locally administrates that Taste New York market under a separate grant from the state of New York, but they're also year-to-year. So we do everything year-to-year over there based on the way that the funding comes in from the state of New York. We continue to communicate with our local officials and trying to get additional state resources for the project. We'll take any questions that the council has, and just want to state again the appreciation we have for the bid board working with us on this.
Hey Chuck, yeah, the only question I had was when you look through the contract, is that normal protocol? I see that there's a $10,000 charge for administration of the agreement. Is that actually normal?
Yeah, basically the expenses of the contract associated with administration of the contract is under 10%, which I would say 10% admin on any contract like this would be on the low end of things. Usually administrative charges are between 10 and 20%. So the other thing I will note is in recent years, about 3 years ago, this contract was $245. Last year's budget, it went down to $215. Now this year it's going down to $200,000. The admin fee that we paid to the bid 3 years ago used to be $15. We've dropped that to $10. The bid, you know, the volunteer bid board members, you know, it's not a whole lot of additional work that they've taken on by helping us with this contract, but it is additional work. So, you know, and from their point of view, the additional small amount of revenue of 10 grand that goes to the bid, the few projects that they can work on with that 10 grand is very beneficial to the bid.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Councilor Cuddy?
I just wanted to make note, just based on tonight's various resolutions we're voting on, we are, and this is a very good example, we are continuing to do what Mr. Souls mentioned last night at the ADA meeting, to grow, and he specifically mentioned the Equal Rights Heritage Center as a sign of the kind of growth that he likes to see in the city of Auburn. And you know, but at the same time, what we're doing is, you know, because this was such a tight budget and we had to make a lot of cuts, we are doing what we can to continue to show that we are, you know, a city that is open and welcoming, and understanding that tourism is still a big part of our economy. And I do think that, you know, as there are businesses coming into the area, much about what Auburn has to offer is our culture. We can see it in the growth downtown. You know, anybody coming, visiting from out of the area, I hear a lot about how much they are impressed by Auburn. And I think, you know, with the bid, you know, Auburn Beautification Commission, you know, Equal Rights Heritage Center, there's so much that's being done to make Auburn attractive, even in the midst of, you know, the budget cuts that have happened. The fact that we are trying to find ways to make these work, I just wanted to make note of that it's important that this continues, because people want to see this continue, see the growth continue. So I just wanted to make note that yes, cuts are being made. You know, there are parts of our city staff working with the bid to pick up what used to be done solely in a different way. So just wanted to make note of that.
Thank you. The clerk mentioned that the building is going to be 8 years old, and he also mentioned the support from Senator May's office. You know, there has been really good support from the state of New York from the beginning, late Assemblyman Gary Finch was a huge supporter of the facility, huge supporter of the story that it tells about the abolitionist movement, the suffrage movement. Gary was the first person at every event in the front row, and he was just so happy that that building was being built, and I'm glad that we can continue that legacy and tell that story here in Auburn and Cuyahoga County. Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
Land sale resolution number 65 of 2026, authorizing the sale of real property known as 55 Parker Street. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Diego, second by Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
Land sale resolution 65 of 2026, whereas the city of Auburn owns real property commonly known as 55 Parker Street, and whereas the property is identified as tax map number 115-83217, and whereas a purchase offer and sale contract has been proposed, which is attached here too, and incorporated herein for the purchase of the property at a price of $60,000. And whereas the proposed buyers are Anthony Campy and Tim Betlowitz, and whereas the property is a surplus parcel and not needed for city purposes. Now therefore, be it resolved, the city of Auburn does hereby approve the purchase offer and sale contract from Anthony Campy and Tim Betlowitz, which is incorporated herein for the sale of 55 Parker Street for the sum of $60,000, subject to the terms and conditions set forth therein, and also subject to the following. The city provide only a quit claim deed to the buyer at closing, that the buyers be responsible for payment of all title and closing costs necessary to close the transaction, and be it further resolved, the mayor is authorized to sign the purchase offer and sale contract together with any and all documents in order to finalize the closing of the sale, and direct staff to record the sale proceeds into the revenue account A992660, sale of real property.
Questions and discussion from the council? Anything to add, Ms. Haynes?
No, other than this was listed with our realtor just a few weeks ago and very quickly got an offer. Mr. Kimpy has been interested in this property for a couple of years, so glad that we're able to move this forward.
Very good. Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Council Resolution number 66 of 2026, adopting the City of Auburn revolving loan policy. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Diego, second by Councilor Cuddy.
Council Resolution 66 of 2026, whereas the City of Auburn offers a revolving loan program to provide a way for city residents to pay for the cost of repairs to sidewalks, sewer laterals, and water service. And whereas under the program, the cost of the work is placed onto the real property tax bill and paid over a 5-year period at 6% interest. Whereas due to recommendations from external auditors, city staff analyzed the cost benefit of the program and the administrative burden, and whereas a formal accounting policy for the program is recommended accounting practice. Now therefore be it resolved that the city council does hereby authorize the revolving loan fund policy, which is attached here to and incorporated herein. Be it further resolved, the city controller is authorized to implement the policy as written.
Ms. Leeson is here if council has any questions. Councilor Diego?
No, just more a statement on it. Thank you, Mayor. I think it's an important program to keep in. I figured after the auditor had spoke on it, I didn't think it was going to be around, but I think it's important because a lot of people, when you have a sewer main break or something along those lines, it's not a few $100 job, it's thousands and thousands of dollars, and a lot of people can't go to the bank and get a loan. Maybe they don't have the best credit. It's nice that the city makes it available, you know, especially at a 6% interest, put it on their taxes. So I mean, obviously, if you had a sewer break or something like that, the house is going to be condemned if you don't fix it. You don't want people losing their house because they can't get a loan, so it's nice the city can help them out on this aspect, so I'm glad to see the program still available.
Agreed. Any other questions? Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Financial Resolution Number 67 of 2026, authorizing financing for the revolving loan programs. Do we have a sponsor? Counselor Diego, seconded by Counselor Overstreet Wilson.
Council Resolution 67, whereas the City of Auburn has maintained a revolving loan program that allows property owners to have sidewalks and curbs and/or curbs installed for the repair or replacement of water, or for the repair or replacement of water and sewer lines, and to finance such at a cost over a 5-year period. And whereas Attachment A contains a list of all property owners who have requested to participate in the revolving loan programs, and whereas the Auburn City Council approval is required in order to process the property owners' request to participate in the programs for 2026, and the cost of the programs are detailed in Attachment A. Now therefore be it resolved, the Auburn City Council does hereby approve the expenditure of $34,974 to be charged to account CMR 5497440001 to fund the sidewalk and curbing revolving loan program, $20,732.14 to be charged to account CMR 8340440002 to fund water repair and replacement revolving loan program, and $83,520.46 to be charged to account CMR 8120440003 to fund the sewer repair and replacement revolving loan program.
Question and discussion from the council. Please call the roll.
Counselor Diego?
Yes.
Counselor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Counselor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Geneseo?
Aye.
Carried.
Grant Resolution Number 68 of 2026, accepting grant and sponsorship contributions for the 2026 Summer Recreation Program. We have a sponsor. Counselor Cuddy, seconded by Counselor Diego.
Grant Acceptance Resolution 68, whereas the City of Auburn coordinates a summer rec program for children, and in the summer of 2026, the program will be held in the months of July and August at various city parks and playgrounds. And whereas the City of Auburn has received generous support from several businesses and foundations in the community that have contributed towards the operation of the program, and whereas the City Council, on behalf of citizens of the community, would like to extend sincere appreciation to the local foundations, businesses, and organizations that have made generous contributions or are partnering with the city to support summer rec with services. New Core Steel, Pavlo's Diner, Courier Plastics, Midstate Mutual Insurance Company, Xylem Incorporated, K&S Car Wash, Wegmans, Cayuga Community College, Lions National Bank, the D.E. French Foundation, the Stanley W. Metcalf Foundation, the Fred L. Emerson Foundation, Pepper's Discount Line of Liquor and Wine, Voya Financial, Gush Orthodontics, Pinnacle Investments LLC, Key Bank, Swabby's Tavern, United States Tennis Association, Auburn Chainsaw and Mower Incorporated, Art in the Park, Cuddy Financial Services, The Commons on St. Anthony Street, Hogan and Graceffo Dental Services, Sussman Law, Ryco Enterprises, Cuff Farm Services, A&M Graphics, United Way of Cayuga County, the Food Bank of Central New York, Mark's Pizzeria, the Home Depot, Cayuga County Health Department, Cayuga Museum, Auburn Police Department, Auburn Fire Department, Cayuga County Sheriff's Office, New York State Police, Auburn Doubledays, PlaySpace, Bounce and Beyond, Pasco, Hipkins Law Office, ESL Bank, Jacobs Press, MC Townsend Construction, Savannah Bank, Simmons, Brady and Loy, Auburn Uniform, So What, Auburn Housing Authority, Angelo's Pizza, Cornell Cooperative Extension, and Cayuga Onondaga BOCES. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Auburn that the mayor is hereby authorized to sign any and all documents necessary to receive these grants and sponsorship fundings for the 2026 Summer Rec Program. The City Controller is authorized to recognize the grant and sponsorship funding totaling $60,400 into revenue account A992705 REC and expenditure account A7143-470 REC, and the resolution will take effect immediately.
Question and discussion from the council. Councilor Diego.
Yeah, just want to, we thank everybody that was involved, everybody that worked on it, getting the sponsorships and grants and everything along those lines, and thank you to everybody that contributed to keep the program going this summer.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. Brian Rhodes and Meg Gremley do all the work in securing these sponsorships. I have the easy job of signing the thank you letters. So I want to acknowledge them as well. But again, to piggyback on what Councilor Diego said, the generosity of so many businesses and foundations and partners throughout the community. We've heard time and time again from people that they value summer rec, they want summer rec. We wouldn't be able to do it without them. So thank you to all of them. Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego.
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy.
Yes.
Mayor Genatino.
Aye.
Carried.
Grant Resolution Number 69 of 2026, accepting grant and sponsorship contributions for the 2026 Summer Concerts, Movies, and Events Program. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Diego, seconded by Councilor Cuddy.
Grant Acceptance Resolution 69. Whereas the City of Auburn coordinates summer concerts, movies, and events at various city parks and playgrounds, and whereas the City of Auburn has received generous support from several businesses and foundations in the community that have contributed towards the operation of the program, whereas the City Council, on behalf of the citizens of the community, would like to extend sincere appreciation to the local foundations and businesses that have made generous financial contributions totaling $16,300. Nucor Bike for Life, Cuba Community College, Costa Grande Mexican Restaurant, Art in the Park, Cuba County Health Department, Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Program, Wegmans, Tony's Lemonade, Cameron's Bakery, Beginnings Credit Union, Onondaga County Health Department, Tobacco Free Central New York, Chemung Canal Trust Company, and ESL Federal Credit Union. And whereas in addition, the following businesses have made in-kind sponsorships, including A&M Graphics for the creation of summer banner and signage, Royal Promise Production for character appearances at the city events, and Classic Hits 99.3 radio advertising for the summer concerts. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Auburn that the mayor is hereby authorized to sign any and all documents necessary to receive the grant and sponsorship funding for the City Parks and Recreation 2026 Summer Concert Movie and Event Program. The City Controller is authorized to recognize the grant and sponsorship funding totaling, oh, the number got cut off there, totaling $16,300 as an increase in revenue to account A992705 and expenditure account A720450, and the resolution will take effect immediately.
Question and discussion from the council. Reiterate my comments in appreciation to local businesses that generously donated to keep the concerts going. I'd like to recognize Kim Basso and her work in securing these donations. Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego.
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy.
Yes.
Mayor Genatino.
Aye. Agreement Resolution Number 70 of 2026, authorizing an agreement with the director of the 2026 Summer Rec Program. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Cuddy, second by Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
Agreement Resolution 70 of 2026, whereas the City Council has determined it is in the best interest of the city and its residents to provide a summer rec program for youth within the community, and whereas the city desires to retain a qualified program director to plan, administer, supervise, operate, and deliver the city's summer recreation program, including the development, organization, implementation, and evaluation of all program activities and operations. And whereas the proposed agreement establishes Megan Gremley as the program director and provides a compensation of $8,000 for services rendered under the agreement, and whereas the proposed agreement provides for a term commencing June 30th, 2026 and continuing through June 29th, 2027. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Auburn hereby authorizes and approves the service agreement between the City of Auburn and Megan Gremley as the program director of the City of Auburn Summer Rec Program. Be it further resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized to sign any and all documents necessary to finalize the agreement.
You want some background on this agreement?
So for the last 3 years, Meg Gremley has been our Summer Rec Program Director. We kind of have annual agreements with her This is something that she works on year-round. As soon as the program ends in the summer, we're usually here at City Hall having meetings and planning for the next summer. She works all winter, keeps in communication with a lot of the project sponsors and partners that have come in, and she's been essential really to helping us build this program, along with Brian Rhodes, who's been our recreation coordinator for the city and who's now going to become the superintendent of public works once Mike Talbot retires at the end of this month. So the program itself is a 6-week program in the summertime, but the work that Meg is doing for us under this contract goes year-round. Now, I do want to, I'm going to be very careful with how I say this just because I want to put it out there for the purposes of transparency. And it's all good because we agree with what is happening. But the Q County Health Department came to us in the spring of this year, earlier in the spring, and basically had a meeting with Brian Rhodes and myself and Meg and talked about the fact that they have basically determined that the summer rec program is classified as a summer camp and that we have to follow New York State Department of Health laws pertaining to summer camps as far as how we organize and structure the camp moving forward. Some of the summer rec, we have to remember that 4 years ago we were reporting out numbers here of 30 people showed up on Tuesday, 50 people on Wednesday, 60 people on Thursday. That was 4 years ago when the program kind of started. Last year we were reporting out, anywhere from 150 to 300 kids per day attending the program. So even last year with the popularity of the program, we knew that there were a lot of things that we needed to be thinking about as far as how you organize and structure this program. So the news that the county health department had for us and the additional work that's required, we agreed with, because we were like, you're correct. A lot of the safety protocols and the proper registration of the children that are participating, all the extra things that we have to do are necessary to run a very thorough program. What that's done in the last 90 days is it's really made things very busy for Brian, for Megan. I've also been helping them with especially the registration side of it. But we're getting there. We'll be ready in a couple weeks with all these additional things. But one example is you have to have a nurse on staff. So Meg, through her connections with the schools and everything, was able to convince somebody to work for us as a nurse this summer. We have to have, there's a ratio of staff that we have to have this summer, so we'll have some additional part-time seasonal staff on. The city, as we just read in the previous resolutions, while we were in this very difficult budget situation, and our budget situation wasn't necessarily challenging this year, it's been challenging for a few years. Our community is always there, and the amount of donations, and especially when you factor in the Casey Park pool situation that we're in this year, this is the most contributions we've had from our community. Our community is always very generous and steps up and helps with these programs. But this year there's definitely been a lot more work involved because of the new requirements. I don't say any of that to cast blame on our partners at the county health department. They've been working with us hand in hand, had several meetings with us to help us put everything in place. And it is state law. When you go to the state's websites and you read through all the state requirements and state law, it's, you kind of, we're not an overnight camp, but we're in a place of assembly for young kids and stuff. There's a lot of things that need to be thought of and worried about to make sure that we're adhering to state rules and regulations. So I can't say enough about the work that Meg's done to help us establish this program over the last 4 years. Brian is setting this program up for success. He'll still be involved in his new capacity as superintendent of public works, but as he transitions out of this, he won't be able to spend quite as much time with summer rec, but he's got some staff within his department that'll be kind of backfilling some of those responsibilities for him. And just looking forward to the program being here in a couple of weeks and being able to see the program work as it has in these last couple of summers to really bring a lot of good times to the kids in the community. So that's really what it's meant for. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Questions from the council? Councilor Diego?
Yeah, just a note on that. Question that came up day in, day out for the last week since the article went in the newspaper. I think it's important for the public to know that. And going back to Ms. Gremley, they were talking about the amount of work she does, and Brian spoke on it over and over again. But I think the important part is that everybody, all these salaries for the people that are going to be participating in the program are paid for through that donation. People get upset, and because obviously there was layoffs amongst other things during the budget. But I think it's real important that everybody knows that everybody's paid through the donation. So once again, we thank everybody that did donate. But that's where the funding's coming from for the director as well as everybody else that's going to be working there. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. And I again just want to thank Ms. Gremley. I always tell the story. During COVID, I got a message from her about bringing back the summer rec program, and obviously it was COVID and we couldn't, but she was very persistent, and she's been instrumental in building this program into what it is. And to hear, those numbers, 300 children. The one story she tells every year when she comes is that as a teacher, when school starts in the fall, she'll ask the kids, what did you do this summer? And inevitably, a certain amount of kids say they went on vacation, they went to Darien Lake, but there would always be kids who didn't have anything to say. Now they have something to say, that they went to summer rec. And that's a positive impact on our community, and I just can't thank her enough for the work that she's done. Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Last but certainly not least, grant resolution number 71 of 2026, authorizing a funding application to U.S. FEMA assistance to firefighter grants for Auburn Fire Department equipment. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Cuddy, second by Councilor Diego.
Second, Mayor, I gotta pull it back up on the computer. Resolution 71, whereas the City of Auburn Fire Department has the opportunity to apply for funding through the FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program, which would be used to enable live fire training for all department personnel and the purchase of a forcible entry simulator and basic firefighting tools. And whereas the live fire training would allow for platoon training to take place without compromise to respond readiness, the forcible entry simulator would facilitate training of the skill at AFD Station 1, and the basic firefighting tools would allow for the replacement of broken, damaged, and outdated tools used in the delivery of service to the community. And whereas the City of Auburn Fire Department is interested in applying for the FEMA AFG funding to cover the cost of $105,000 for conducting live fire training and purchasing a forcible entry simulator and basic firefighting tools. And whereas the FEMA AFG application will, if awarded, cover $95,545.55 of the cost to conduct the live fire training, purchase a forcible entry simulator and basic firefighting tools, and requiring the City of Auburn to cover the remaining $9,545.45, which will come out of the fire department's operating budget. And whereas fiscal year 2027 City of Auburn Fire Department budget does not contain sufficient funds to conduct the live fire training and the purchase of forcible entry simulator and basic firefighting tools, it is necessary to apply for the funding assistance through the FEMA AFG program. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council that the Auburn Fire Chief is authorized to execute any and all forms or applications necessary to complete the grant application, that the mayor, upon notice of the funding award, is authorized to execute a FEMA AFG contract and any reimbursement forms or other necessary documents to complete the project, and that the City Controller's Office is authorized and directed to create a city expense and revenue capital account to track project finances, and the resolution will take effect immediately.
With us this evening is Chief Fritz. Does anybody have any questions for the chief? Councilor Diego?
Yeah, just a comment. Goes back to the same as with the police earlier today and the other grants. This is an important grant because it's when we went through the budget, we looked at the chiefs and he had cut things out of there that hypothetically they needed, tools, equipment, safety equipment, stuff like that. So it's nice being able to grab this grant and replace some of the stuff that we couldn't do in the budget. Appreciate it.
Chief, what is, can you talk a little bit about this forcible entry simulator and what that is?
Sure. So this is a heavy-duty door system with a metal frame and a metal door, and the firefighters are able to put in basically blocks of wood or other material that simulate a locking mechanism, and then we use our axes and our Halligan tools to open that door through the proper techniques of forcing the door. Okay. You can't save someone and you can't put out a fire if you can't get in. So basically this allows the firefighters to train pretty much night and day if they choose, or when the opportunity strikes, because it'll be right there at the station, and give them opportunity to improve those skills.
How often do we do live fire training?
Live fire training is difficult to complete. There's an NFPA standard 1300 that speaks to it. You have to have so many people there on staff for safety and control. So this is really the only way we can do this training as a shift. So that's the beauty of this. If we get awarded this, we can bring in an entire shift for 4 hours and they train how they respond. So the firefighters do what the firefighters do, the fire officers do what they do. The command officers get to command fire response, just like if we were on the street. So it's very beneficial.
Very good. Any other questions? Chief, thank you for pursuing this grant funding. Much appreciated. Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Other business from the council. Councilor Cuddy.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The city manager and the corporation council have followed up on council's request on the flat camera. I know we've had constituents throughout the last few months expressing concerns. Mr. Reichert tonight came in expressing his concern. Surprised that Auburn is one of the many municipalities that have flock in them. I do think it is time for the council to act. I do think it does require a resolution. I know that Councilor Overstreet Wilson wanted to act weeks ago. I do believe we've done our due diligence. I want to acknowledge the Auburn Police Department for explaining to us their perspective. I think it's important. But as many of the people in the community have expressed, once that data is in flock safety's purview, there is no guarantee that that could be shared with whomever. So that is the one thing that has really concerned me. And also, many communities find themselves with these cameras without really knowing they have this particular kind of camera. So I do want to act. I would like to see if there's support from my colleagues on council so that we can move forward.
That's 100% support that, and I do thank Jenny and our Corporation Council for supporting our request to look into if the process was appropriate and followed in accordance to how it should have been brought forward. I do want to thank the police department because I do not believe that there was anything done abhorrent to get one over on us. But I agree that AI technology is something that we should pump the brakes with and get as much information that we can, complete further due diligence before we make those decisions to place those cameras up. I wish other communities had done the same thing because we cannot control what that information, how that information is used outside of the city limits because we do not own that. It's in a relationship with another company, and I do believe in support. It's time to move forward.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, we've talked about this for quite a long time. I think everybody knows my stance on it. It's not the part about the cameras themselves. You know, we're talking about maybe the system. I'm still not convinced that sharing a license plate and a picture of the back of somebody's car is sharing their data. That's one of the things. We've seen the pictures. We've seen how it operates. We've had people come here saying, oh, you're looking at kids doing gymnastics and all this other nonsense. It's not even taking a picture of the person. So I'm not understanding that. Once again, I'm 200% open to if we had another system that can use to do this, but it seems like every system that we've brought up within a week or two, the people that are speaking against it have come back and said, well, we don't want that one and we don't want that one either. We're definitely not going to let the people that are speaking against it create us a system like they put in one email like they were going to run the system for us. Obviously, it's not even legal and it's a privacy issue, and that's something the police department obviously can't do, and we would never obviously be able to even allow that. I think there's still a lot of questions. The financial part of it's only a little bit of it at this point. Yeah, you're looking at anywhere from $80,000 to $90,000, give or take, if we just cut the cord on this thing right now. I think you got to realize also that if we decide to unplug them, we do the resolution, get rid of them today, is that going to affect when we apply for the police department for the Lee Tech grant down the road? Are we going to have to pay the money back to them if we do this? Is it going to affect, I believe we're trying to get radios and other things through this grant. Are they going to say, well, no, you were given this amount of money and then you broke the contract and got rid of it? That's an important thing to look at as well. We don't want to jeopardize the chance of getting extra grant money to support the police department or any department for that case. It's just a lot of things to look at, and I'm still in support of it. I know the AI is a huge thing, and I'm not for sharing anybody's personal information by any means, but being in the situation we're in this country, in this world right now, it's taken over, whether anybody wants to say it's good, bad. You know, there's different areas that obviously aren't going to be good, and there's probably things being done with it. But as a couple small examples off the top of my head, when you talk about sharing information, when they had that drug chain coming all the way from across the country, if the other end of the country didn't share the license plate in the vehicle with us, we didn't catch them when they got here. When the woman spoke a few weeks ago about the missing person and her family, if we didn't share the license plate and the picture of the back of the car with the agencies outside the city, we're not finding that person missing. When we had the hit and run and the vehicle took off outside the city, if we didn't share that information with the other police agencies outside the city, we're not catching them. And that's the tough part for me. This is a huge tool for the police department. It's not replacing jobs and all that nonsense that people come up here and talk about. You're going to replace it. That's ludicrous to even suggest that. It's just a tool to make it easier to police and help the police solve crimes, big, little, small. It doesn't matter. If you solve any crimes, if you stop anybody from breaking the law using this technology, that's a win for the community. It keeps the community safe. I got a whole list of questions. I'll give it to you guys after the fact if you want to read it, on what I think that we should be looking at first before this decision is made. I also believe, before we do anything, I believe Councilor Clarko is on the spectrum as well as far as which way she wants to go on this. So I don't think anything should be done unless all five of us are here, because she spoke on it multiple times over and over again. I don't disagree with Councilor Cuddy and this information getting out, and if Flock's doing something they shouldn't, of course we got to cut it off and go with somebody else. Key is we got to go with somebody else. I have no issue if you put a resolution today saying we're going to let this thing run out and we're not renewing with them, period. I'd vote for that today, because that gives everybody time. It gets the public time to make more suggestions on other ways to run these systems. It also doesn't put the police department in a position where you broke a contract, we're going to lose an extreme amount of money. You may jeopardize the chance of getting that grant money again down the road. That's my concern. It's not even about Flock in general. It's about what is going to be the repercussions after the fact. And being that, once again, we're in the middle of the summer basically now, I look at the calls for service every morning from the police department, and it's getting busy. I mean, the one night there was 69 calls in an 8-hour shift. That's insane. It's just a tool that we can use, but on the same token, we can't, share information that isn't just a license plate or a picture. And that's from what I've read and what's been presented. That's the information. What people do with it after the fact, I know that our police department doesn't share, besides with the county sheriffs and state police, this or that. And there is ways to do it, because we've seen that, and it's been presented that you can turn on different things and share with different agencies, which obviously we definitely don't want to do. But that's a whole story in itself when you start talking civil and criminal enforcement. So that's just my thought on it, but I definitely we should move on it, and it gives the chief a peace of mind as well. Yes or no, we having these or we don't, so he knows what his next move is going to be. But I'd like Mrs. Clarko to be here as well, because that's a big vote. Thank you.
Yes, I agree, Councilor Diego. I just want to make sure that we're not sitting on this. So
100%.
We're not going to have a resolution this week or next week, but I just want to see the appetite of my colleagues here, present here, and obviously Councilor Clarko can communicate with the city manager what her thoughts are, but I wanted to get the ball rolling to see where we stand here today and go from there.
I agree with a little bit of everything that was said. I know that the chief is looking for direction. I met with him earlier this week on another topic, and he flat out said, he's like, I just need some direction on where we're going with this. Taking into consideration all the concerns, there is value in LPR readers. Councilor Diego talked about them, the chief has talked about them. I guess I'm taking a middle ground on this, where I recognize the importance of it. It's like, it's the 21st century, right? We don't want over surveillance, but it's a tool that's beneficial to a police department. They don't carry slingshots anymore, right? They carry firearms, right? As things develop, we have to develop with the times. But it has to be done in a responsible way. And I think that's what we're all getting at, that there is value to the LPRs. We want to make sure we're comfortable with them. We want to make sure there's safeguards in place for the data. I would still like some direction from the state. I know that we've tried to get direction from the state on what would happen if we do this. We haven't received any further word on that. Is that, I mean, if it's agreeable, well, if it's agreeable to council, I'd like to get our state representatives involved too, to try to get some direction on what's going to happen here. Because the flaw in this whole thing is that the state's not, in my opinion, not administering this properly. It's just kind of like, here's the money, go do whatever you want to do. and obviously there's some boundaries there, but I mean, the state should be giving some guidance too. And hearing the feedback from the communities, obviously there's been uproar over one vendor over another across the state. The state needs to know that so that we make sure that going forward, this money is spent in a responsible way. So that's why I'm just kind of looking for some middle ground on this, that we do try to come up with an LPR that we're all comfortable with, because there is value in it. And you're going to know that value, God forbid, if it's one of our family members, right? Like, there is value in it. LPRs have been around for a long time. They've just evolved. And I get it, AI is a scary thing. But AI in some capacities is also a very useful thing. And I just want to make sure we're doing it in a manner that's safe and responsible. So if it's okay, I would like to reach out to at least Senator May's office, kind of let her staff know what we've experienced here, that we can't really get a straight answer from the agency, that if we were to break this contract, what would happen. And I think that would be valuable if we can at least get some direction there.
Yeah, I mean, because when you talk at the state level, you have the governor giving speeches, and I stood 10 feet away from her when we were at NICOM, and she said, and the goal is to fund LPRs for the whole state. We're going to keep giving them money to get these LPRs. So, you got both ends of the spectrum. You got, some people saying, this isn't the way to go, and you got the top political figure in the entire state saying, we're going to keep giving money out so everybody has these. So it's a double-edged sword, but, like I said, we can't take away the fact that it's coming. It's just a matter of how we work around it and, work for both sides, for the community and as the police department as well.
So I guess what I'm saying is I'm in favor of moving towards a resolution. I would like a little bit clearer guidance from the state, if possible, what's going to happen. And I could work on that starting tomorrow.
That's fine. I would just expect, and no disrespect to the state, that you're not going to get a clear answer. But again, with that being said, I think it's fine to reach out to Senator May's office. I'm for that, but I also know that there's more LPR programs than just Flock or Axon, or there's ones that, I'm sure are more just like, yes, we have this, but we're not integrated into a whole network that is, that has the baggage. And I'll just say this, that there's, you pick up any newspaper and it's just that brand that has been, and that people take issue with.
Yeah,
that's where I'm, that's what I'm responding to when it comes to the public to be heard, and it's not just one person.
Right.
As you know, it's dozens and dozens of people. So I do want to move forward on this, and I just wanted to make sure that we're not moving on this issue. But obviously, the mayor, please reach out to Senator May's office. I do think that does have some value, but I just don't want it to linger on for a long time, because I know that the chief does want us to act in some form or fashion. So.
Yeah, and there's definitely, like you said, there is where data stays directly just in the city of Auburn. One of the constituents that comes here and speaks had emailed me a few different ones that they're looking into, and like I said, that's what I'm looking for. Give us an alternative, something so we can, you guys are happy, the data's going to stay locally. It kind of goes against sharing as far as, hey, we got to send this to Seneca Falls because we're, this car, that's a different story, because the sharing is an integral part of solving crimes. But as far as these big companies, like you said, of course, we got to look at something different.
I think if it's at the discretion of the police chief sharing the information, I think that we trust the police chief.
100%.
But if it's a third party that, if they're changing their terms, as the person mentioned, Flock's new terms of service does take it more outside of the scope of, us, then that's where at least the public has a lot of concern about that. So but I do think reaching out to Senator May with some guidance, but if they're like, we don't know what to do,
sure.
I do think we have enough in this room, enough research on our own. I know that the Corporation Council is doing his research, and I know that our city manager is very interested in seeing what we guide management with.
These are the discussions that should have happened prior to us purchasing the flock system with the LPR money. Having the community involved in making suggestions. This is how we get our community involved, and this is how we build trust between council and the community at large. Had we had the opportunity to talk about the different systems that are out there, the good that they do, to even state that LPRs have been there forever, they're coming, AI is coming, I think that we could have come to a resolution, whether it be flock or whether it be or it not be flock. But the fact is, it didn't go through the right process, the right channel. So now we're having the conversations now that we should have had prior. I do support Christina being here for us to have the conversation, and I do think it's a really good idea to reach out to our state representatives to see what they're thinking. If other communities have contacted them, what decisions have they come to? Are they going to be consequenced later if they go out for other grants and we break this contract? I think all of those things are relevant when we have to make this decision. I continue to get reached out to as well, like what's going to happen with the flock camera. Have you guys discussed it? So I do appreciate you, Terry, bringing that up tonight, because I don't want to not move. It'll be Christmas before we know it.
It's time.
Yeah.
All set?
All set, thank you.
I know there's no executive session tonight, before we adjourn, we talked over the last 3 months, and then last week, obviously, when we voted on the budget, about the difficulty of what we as an organization experienced and what the public experienced. And it was hard. But it's, I want to give a shout out to the staff again, because there was no chance to take a breath. There were 14 resolutions on this agenda tonight. We've been here talking about these resolutions for 2.5 hours. There's countless hours that go into preparing these resolutions, and the countless hours leading up to these resolutions. So, nobody's taking a breath. It's right into it. And not only have they not taken a breath, they're already doing doing more with less. And, so I think the hard work is actually in front of us, and realizing the impact of those things. On several of these resolutions tonight, we talked about things that have been cut. And that's just the reality, right? We are right-sizing the budget for the times that we are living in. It's hard. But again, the hard work is in front of us. And the reality of it is there are things that we've had to do that now the impact is going to be felt. And over the next couple months, I'm sure we're going to get calls over some of the decisions that we had to make. But sometimes the answer is no. And it's just no. And it's not that we made the decision willy-nilly with no discussion, but the answer is no. And it's going to be hard, but that's the reality of what we're dealing with. I don't know if anybody read Syracuse.com today. 76% tax increase in Skaneateles. Sometimes the answer has to be no. And I'm going to support our staff, because when we got to those no's, it was on the input from staff, no matter what that decision was. And we collectively worked through that with them. So I just wanted to say that. That's it.
One more thing, I got off track for a minute. Mayor, please, might as well add it to the rest of the stuff we got going on. Obviously, it's a hot topic. It's been going on. I believe me and Councilor Cuddy, we talked about this last October, about these e-bikes. Might be time we got to get a policy in place. I know the chief is going crazy. Everybody's busy, as is everybody in City Hall. It's time we got to put something in place. I mean, there's a lot of accidents, a lot of kids getting hurt, and even other places. The guy got killed in Oswego last year. I mean, it's time. You don't want to take them away from the people that's their only mode of transportation, that are going to work and stuff like that. They're responsible drivers, but we're going to have to put something in place. I'd like to do that, sooner rather than later, please.
Chief, I don't want to put you on the spot. I know we've talked about this in the past. I know that you and your staff have started doing some research on what we can and can't do.
We have a training coming up about a month from now. DA's office is putting it on. We're also going to do enforcement detail, probably a week long. Someone will buckle up and aggressive driving to enforce e-bikes and strictly e-bikes. I guess this is people's notice now that that's what we're going to be doing. It's going to be, we're going to try it doing like a week or two coming forward. With that being said, there's been questions amongst my staff of what we can enforce, so we sent out literature to them. There's been some groups that have gone to training, but it's still relatively new to all of us, these e-bikes. It's not like it's a motor vehicle for the most part, motorcycle or anything like that. So this is new. It is, again, hard to stop a vehicle. You know, we're in a full-blown car and we're trying to stop pretty much a bicycle. It's electric, so it's difficult. So it's got different avenues that we've never dealt with, but we're planning on doing it and at least hitting it head on. So the goal is at some point to either have a e-bike unit at the PD or a bicycle unit. We looked into different schools and gotten different quotes on different bikes. We missed the opportunity to send a bike school for us. So, but I just noticed today that SUNY Cortland puts one on every year. So we will look at maybe next year of trying to get that done. I'd like to get them DCGS certified in the bikes because they have to do different type of training. They'll do firearms with the bikes. They'll go up and down steps with the bikes. Stuff I've never seen people do with bikes. I thought watching X Games was fun. I got this is something different. So it's just different stuff like that that we're looking to try to think outside the box to enforce this. We know it's been an issue. We know you guys are getting complaints here. We're getting complaints at the PD. The DA's office getting complaints. It's time. So we're going to start enforcing it and setting up a enforcement detail.
Very good. Thank you, Chief. Much appreciated. I think every one of those 14 resolutions said I have to sign them. We have new pen tomorrow. Motion to adjourn. Councilor Overstreet Wilson, seconded by Councilor Diego.
Motion to adjourn for 7:28. Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. We are adjourned. You okay? You need an ID?
I did drink my whole
I'm impressed you drank that whole thing and didn't have to get up and excuse yourself.